Dangerous was Michael Jackson's first conscious album, and he wanted to focus on issues that pop singers of his era were not really focused on. Dangerous is one of Michael's albums that majority of the mainstream media loves to ignore. The media would constantly dwell on Thriller and Off the Wall, and if one is lucky, the media would make a big deal about Bad or History. Dangerous is the album that is underrated because that was the first time Michael not trying to chase any goal. I did a list of 25 facts about the album and the era. An era that was starting off very well but ended so badly, and I will explain why I think that was the case. I hope you all enjoy this list and share it with anyone who loves Michael or loves music in general. 25. Dangerous was the first album Michael did without Quincy Jones. After Michael was done with the Bad tour, he went right back to the studio to work on the Dangerous album. He had a 3-album contract with Quincy Jones and decided that since it was over, he no longer wanted to work with Quincy. According to the book Man and the Music: The Creative Life and Work of Michael Jackson, Michael was not angry with Quincy. In fact, as Brad Buxer, who is a songwriter and musician who worked with Michael in many of his albums, he always had an admiration for him and an immense respect. With Dangerous, Michael wanted to control the creative process from A to Z. Simply put, he wanted to be his own boss. Michael was always very independent, and he also wanted to show that his success was not because of one man, namely Quincy. It is interesting that it was mentioned that Michael wanted full control with the Dangerous album. In the book Making Michael Inside the Career of Michael Jackson, one of the reasons Michael no longer wanted to work with Quincy was because he felt the producer was taking too much credit for his work. Always able to produce the way he wanted to, especially when it came to working with the Synclavier, because co-producer Quincy had his own methods. There were so many rumors as to why Michael stopped working with Quincy, but when he completed the Dangerous album, he wanted Quincy to hear the album, and Quincy told Michael that he felt that the album was a masterpiece. 24. Michael donated the proceeds he made from the Dangerous World Tour to his then charity, Heal the World Foundation. When Michael decided to go on tour for the Dangerous album, he only did it to fund his then charity, Heal the World. 23. Michael debuted the Dangerous dance routine on the 1993 American Music Awards. Michael performed the song, Dangerous, in the 1993 American Music Awards, and the now classic dance routine for the song made its debut on the award show. 22. Michael attended 4 award shows in 1993. American Music Awards, Grammys, NAACP Awards and Soul Train Music Awards. Speaking of award shows, Michael attended 4 award shows in 1993. That was the most he ever attended at that time. In the Grammy Awards, he was honored with the Grammy Legend Award presented by his sister Janet. He was nominated for 2 awards that night but did not win. Michael was nominated for 5 American Music Awards and won 2. In regards to the Soul Train Awards, Michael was nominated for 3 awards, won 2, received the Humanitarian of the Year award from comedian Eddie Murphy. And he also performed the song, Remember the Time, in a wheelchair. Michael won 2 NAACP awards for Best Music Video and Entertainer of the Year. 21. Michael was going to make a movie about the kings and queens of Africa but was unable to. Instead, he made the Remember the Time short film. Apparently, Michael wanted to make a movie about the truth about Africa, but that was rejected by Hollywood. It was because of that rejection, the short film, Remember the Time, was made. When you really think about it, Michael's mission to promote the truth about Africa was so important to him. 20. The Dangerous album was one of the most anticipated albums of the 1990s. When the album was released, it was heavily promoted and very hyped. Dangerous was one of the most anticipated albums of the 1990s, so much so that armed robbers stole approximately 30,000 copies when the first shipment arrived at the LA airport. Dangerous received amazing reviews and went straight to number 1 in several countries, also becoming the highest-selling album of 1992. 19. Michael's interview with Oprah in 1993 was seen by over 90 million people worldwide. Michael did his famous, first sit-down interview since 1980. With Oprah Winfrey in the interview, he talked about his childhood, his plastic surgery, his sexual life, his relationship with his father, his sister's LaToya's book, the crazy rumors, and his skin disorder. This interview made Oprah a household name in an international level, and the interview made various headlines all over the world. Even the magazine Entertainment Weekly did a poll about the interview. The short film, Give In To Me, debut in the interview and the television event boost sales of the Dangerous album. 18. The leotard that Michael wore on the Dangerous tour was made out of real gold. Back in 2012, I did a Q&A session with Michael's longtime personal designer, Michael Bush, for his book, King of Style. In the session, I asked about the famous leotard Michael wore in the Dangerous tour and if the leotard was made out of actual gold. This is what transpired. Q. Was the gold that was used for the leotard from the Dangerous tour and the gold outfit, gold pants from the History tour, real gold or gold-plated? If so, how many carats? The gold leotard was all gold spandex and it was called mirrored gold spandex. The other costume was 18K gold-plated. 17. The song, Heal the World, is a world anthem. We live in a time where it is common for people to go through some type of horror in their countries, communities, cities, counties and nations. Whether the horror is inner-city violence, war, the government enforcing harm to their citizens, or terrorist attacks, Heal the World is a song that covers the emotions of people who are trying to make sense of the tragedies. Michael wanted a song with a simple message and a simple melody. Something the whole world can sing, regardless of language, race, or culture. Michael stated in an interview that Heal the World was one of his greatest accomplishments because it was a song that was a public awareness song and that it will live in the hearts of people all over the world. 16. Michael cried when he was working on the song, Keep the Faith. The final weeks of the production for the Dangerous album was very stressful for Michael. He had a deadline to meet and he had to deal with so much pressure from the record company, and anxiety he felt while trying to get the song right got the best of him. Michael left the recording studio, went to a room and started crying his eyes out. Eventually calmed Jackson down, and the two went back to work on the song. It was already late in the night, but Sweetian told Jackson, "We're not going home until you've sung this all the way through." They didn't leave the studio till dawn, but Jackson went home satisfied. 15. The impact of the Dangerous tour and the HBO special. The Dangerous tour kicked off on the summer of 1992 and it featured special effects, magic from David Copperfield, original choreography, different type of costumes, and sold-out shows all over the world. The tour was such in high demand that HBO offered Michael over $20 million to film and televise the Bucharest concert. It became the most watched concert of all time. 14. Ebony magazine set the record straight about Michael's trip to Africa in 1992. In 1992, Michael went to Africa for an 11-day period. When he went to Africa, the media started to make up crazy and unfounded rumors about Michael's trip. Ebony magazine accompanied Michael to the trip and decided to set the record straight on what truly happened in the trip. The media heavily criticized Michael's visit to the motherland and he avoided the media nonsense in regards to his visit. He is said to be making a film for his own private collection, Return to Africa. For me, it's like the dawn of civilization. It's the first place where society existed. It's seen a lot of love. I guess there's that connection because it is the root of all rhythm. Everything. It's home. 13. The American Dream. The Jacksons. In 1992, the network ABC aired the much-anticipated movie of the famous family on a Sunday night. This was the first time a movie was made about the family and how they became one of the biggest musical acts of all time. The movie was a two-part miniseries and was so popular that it was #1 in their time slot. The movie is now a classic and every time the movie is aired on VH1, the movie gives the network high ratings. 12. The Humanitarian awards Michael received during the Dangerous era and the Heal the World Foundation. Michael has been honored with so many humanitarian awards during this time of his life. Some of the honors were from the National Association of Black-Owned Broadcasters, Point of Light Award from former President George Bush Sr., an honor from Operation One to name a few. Michael would often visit children's hospitals and orphanages such as Sophia's Children's Hospital and he would donate a check to them. He would also donate another check to the mayor of Munich, in Germany, to help children who are needy. Michael created his own charity during this time called Heal the World. The three main points of the charity was 1. To make the safety, health and development of children the world's highest priority. 2. To be the voice of the voiceless by focusing worldwide attention on the needs and rights of all children and by providing children with forum to express their unique vision for healing the world. 3. To help create a world where children will live without violence, where children will be free of disease and have healthy lives, and where each generation will have the opportunity to grow into fully participating members of the world community. Michael, with the support of former President Jimmy Carter, started Heal LA, which is a children's relief initiative that provides action to help solve the many problems of the inner city and youth. Heal LA provided much-needed services such as mentoring, drug abuse and AIDS prevention education and immunizations. 11. The 1993 Super Bowl Performance. When Michael performed at the 1993 Super Bowl halftime show, it was the biggest and most watched halftime performance of all time. However, it was not easy to convince Michael to do the show. According to writer Austin Murphy, it went down like this. The league sent everyone deep. They decided to go after Michael Jackson for a month. They got nowhere. Steig sat down with the King of Pop's manager, Sandy Gallen, 11 months before Super Bowl 27. I remember pitching them, he says, and them not really having a clue what we were talking about. At a subsequent meeting, producer Don Mischer pointed out that the Super Bowl would be broadcast in more than 120 countries. Now he had Jackson's full attention. Steig recalls Jackson saying, "So you're telling me that this show is going live to all those places where I'll never do a concert? A puase. I'm in." And even with the Super Bowl, Michael made sure to give his all. Michael worked harder than anybody who's done the halftime show, before or since, says Steig, who remembers seeing Jackson still rehearsing his act at 7 the night before the game, in a tent outside the Rose Bowl. After the amazing, game-changing performance, Michael donated the proceeds he compensated from the performance, all $100,000 to Heal LA. 10. Michael worked on the Dangerous album off and on for over 3 years. With any album Michael does, Michael really takes his time with them. That is why his albums are classics. When he was working on the Dangerous album, Jackson worked on the album off and on for nearly 4 years. 9. Michael formed a film company. In March of 1993, Michael formed a film company. The company was an independent company called Michael Jackson Productions. The film company aim was to produce uplifting movies, with a share of the profits going to his Heal the World Foundation. 8. Michael performed Black or White and Will You Be There for MTV's 10th anniversary in 1991. One of Michael's promotional performances for the Dangerous album was performing 2 songs for MTV's 10th anniversary in 1991. Michael performed Black or White and the future single Will You Be There. 7. The Dangerous short films, singles and chart positions. Dangerous had 9 singles and 9 short films released between 1991 to 1993. The singles and short film along with chart positions according to Billboard, for USA and UK, were Black or White, chart position for the USA. Number 1, chart position for the UK. Number 1. Remember the Time, USA. Number 3, UK number 3. In the Closet, USA. Number 6, UK number 8. Jam, USA. Number 26, UK number 13. Who Is It, USA. Number 14, UK. Number 10. Heal the World, USA. Number 27, UK number 2. Given Into Me, USA. Not available, UK number 2. Will You Be There, USA. Number 7, UK number 9. Gone Too Soon, USA. Not available, UK. Number 33. 6. Michael wrote a book of poetry called Dancing the Dream in 1992. In 1992, Michael wrote his second book called Dancing the Dream. It was a book of poetry in which Michael wrote about the environment, God, love, children, his mother among other things. Michael did an interview with Glenn Plaskin of the Chicago Tribune. The interview is very interesting and insightful. I think what Michael stated about religion was very interesting. You often speak of God and spirituality, and you were reared as a Jehovah's Witness. Do you consider yourself a religious person today? I don't consider myself religious in the sense of subscribing to a particular dogma. I would consider myself spiritual in that I believe there is a domain of awareness in which we can experience our universality. I read all kinds of religious literature, because I believe there is truth in all of them. 5. The sound of the Dangerous album and what the musicians and engineers brought to the table. The Dangerous album had various genres of music: New Jack Swing, R&B, soul, hip-hop, classical, rock and pop. Michael had a team of people to help him put the music together for the album. Teddy Riley, who at the time, was the founder of New Jack Swing, who was a member of the group guy and a producer for various artists such as Keith Sweat and Bobby Brown. He was bought in to help Michael do New Jack Swing. The reason why Michael wanted Riley to work with him in the album was because Jackson wanted something new and fresh for Dangerous, and he liked what he heard in the rhythms, beats and textures of New Jack Swing. Michael also wanted Riley to really produce him. At one point, Jackson confronted him, saying, "Listen, you're going to have to really produce me. I need you to talk to me, I need you to criticize me, I need you to comment, I need you to give me all of you." Brad Buxer is a keyboardist who came in to work with Michael in 1989 by Bill Bottrell. Jackson valued Buxer's instincts as well as his classical training and versatility. Brad Sundberg was an engineer for the album, and Bill Bottrell was also an engineer but was established as a songwriter-producer. He was important for the album because he can do pop, but he infused it with elements of rock, blues, folk and country. Bottrell could bring out regions of Jackson's artistry he hadn't explored before, which excited Jackson. Matt Forger is a recording engineer who has been working with Michael since the Thriller era. And Bruce Swedian, who worked with Michael since the Off the Wall days, and by 1990, he was on board for the Dangerous album. Michael was searching for sounds that gritter and edgier for dance tracks. Brad Buxer and Matt Forget had to go out and recording organic percussion sounds. They would hit on things like glass, metal, or trash cans, occasionally with baseball bats. And Teddy Riley recorded samples from Jackson's Zoo at Neverland. With the Dangerous album, Michael wanted Dangerous to be his best work yet. He wanted to prove he could make a great album without Quincy Jones. 4. The album was originally a greatest hits album. When Michael was doing the album, it was originally going to be called Decades. It would have been a greatest hits album. However, as Michael was working on the album, he had done so many new songs, it was decided to scratch the idea of a hits album and make the album of new material. 3. The Simpsons episode and song. Michael was a huge fan of the iconic television cartoon series The Simpsons, and he lent his voice to one of the episodes. Michael started recording the new album on June 25, 1990. During the year, Michael lent his voice to an episode of The Simpsons, called Stark Raving Dad, under the pseudonym John J. Smith. The use of Michael's voice in the episode was not confirmed until many years later. In 1991, Michael worked with producer and songwriter Brian Lauren to create a song called Do the Bartman, and that was released in the United Kingdom but not the USA. 2. The inspiration behind the album cover. The Dangerous album cover is a very unique piece of work. The artist Mark Ryden stated that the inspiration for the album cover. Ryden later revealed that inspiration came from Michael's 1989 short film Leave Me Alone, but refused to explain its hidden meanings. "I feel that if a painting is explained away, something's lost for the viewer," he answered. "I'm more interested in how other people interpret the image themselves." 1. The so-called controversy of the Black or White short film. After the premiere of the 11-minute short film, Black or White, no one ever expected that by the next day, the whole world seemed to be so bothered by what Michael did. The last 4 minutes of the short film was described as, yet it was the final 4 minutes that ignited the furor. Alone on a soundstage streetscape, Jackson, sans music, transforms from a Black Panther into a human, dances, and gradually loses himself in a maelstrom of destruction and unabashed eroticism. Even the EU article quotes a comment from the New York Times as stating that the last 4 minutes of the short film, the narcissism of a spoiled child throwing his toys. So many critics in the media and even the public could not understand what was Michael trying to express with the last part of the short film. The only clear explanation of what Michael was thinking came from critic Armand White when he wrote his criticism called, "The Gloved One is Not a Chump." There were many things that White stated that would have helped a person, who can look at the video with an open mind, understand the point of the short film. Michael was expressing his anger about many things that was happening at that time and throughout his life. Being a black man from Gary, Indiana, becoming a child star, dealing with not having a childhood and trying to accept not having a normal personal life. He also had to deal with racism, his sexuality constantly in question and his own skin changing dramatically. The short film Last Minutes was probably Michael's way of telling the world through dance to stop the madness and see him, See people of color as human beings and not worry about the small things that were, and still, separating the human race. Michael stated in an interview in 1992 about the last 4 minutes of the short film. Speaking of animals, after the sexy, violent Panther section of Black or White created so much controversy, amateur psychologists speculated that you were letting off tremendous feelings of anger about. Anger and rage are the prelude to a shift in consciousness. Unless we feel rage at some of the inequities and injustices of our society, there is no hope for transformation. Michael's explanation for the last minutes of the short film in that interview was lost in the critics' and public's minds because they focused on the sexual parts, the violence and his skin color. His message was lost in the ignorance of the people. Little did Michael or any of us would have known, that same ignorance will haunt him when in August of 1993, he was falsely accused of sexual abuse of a minor. From that time all the way up to his murder in 2009, Michael has been constantly fighting for the media critics and the public to understand where he was coming from and not to dwell on the small things that really did not matter. I have to be honest, after everything that I have read about the Dangerous album and the era, I am very happy that Michael had the guts and bravery to do this album. I believe this album was truly the best work he has ever done. I think that in order for Michael to truly be taken seriously as an artist, he would have to get rid of Quincy Jones and take control of everything. He wanted so badly to be control of his life, whether it was his time at Motown, to removing his father as his manager when he was becoming a true solo artist, to ending his professional relationship with Jones. Michael wanted to really be his own artist and eventually his own man. Dangerous was the album in which he was going to showcase all of what he can be. He knew that once he did the Panther dance that slowly, he was never going to be seen the same way ever again. For that, he did not care because his purpose of his life was not to please the naysayers but to eventually use his music and celebrity to wake up people, help the children and make the world a much better place. He created a charity to help the children of the world. He forced people to look past their own comfort zones and understand other people who were different from them. He wanted people to stop seeing him as a child star and start seeing him as a man. In quote Michael stated in 1992 about how he wanted people to deal with Dangerous, he stated that, "I would like to see people all over the world, hundreds and hundreds of years from now, still pulling out songs from that album and dissecting it. I want to live." Hopefully, when people start to look past the albums he produced with Jones and start to accept the grown, mature and established Michael Jackson on the Dangerous album, they can appreciate the work for what it is and not what it was never meant to be. Thank you for watching. And subscribe for daily Michael Jackson videos.